Did you know that attending writers' conferences can drastically enhance your writing career and your networking opportunities? I'm about to go to my second writers' conference this summer, and I want to share with you in case you decide you'd like to attend a writers' conference this summer or later this year, how to make the most out of writers' conferences and how it can boost your writing career and how you can connect with industry professionals.
You have a story to tell, but you don't know where to start. Let me show you how to free your story. I teach you how to write and how to dig deep in your soul to release your story and make a difference in the world.
I'd like to welcome you to the Julia Monte channel. If you are just meeting me, I am Julia Monte. I'm a women's fiction author, and I'm here to give you some writing tips, to share what I know, and to connect with other writers like you. So welcome, and if you enjoy anything that I'm going to share with you today, I hope that you will hit the like button because it does help me to grow the channel, obviously, and it shows other writers that this might be something valuable for them to watch as well. Okay, so let's get started talking about writers' conferences. Writers' conferences are a lot of fun. I used to go to a lot more of them. When you have kids, it becomes a little harder. And then as you actually start building your writing career, again, everything becomes more complicated. But when I was just starting to write, I attended a lot of writers' conferences because I gained so much from going to them. And mostly what they do, obviously, is enhance your writing skills and your creative skills, but mostly it helps to mentally prepare you for the writing life and the career that you will hopefully have as a writer. And also, these writers' events are not just about going to workshops and learning, but also about networking, about finding other people that are also doing what you're doing. So other writers that you can become friends with, that you can connect with, that you can keep in touch with after the conference is over. Obviously, a place to meet agents and editors that are publishing what you're writing. So it's a really great place. It's a short period of time that's kind of closed and you're just among people that are doing what you're doing. It's very inspiring. I always got a lot out of conferences. So let's talk about what you can get out of a conference. Let's start by talking about how to approach a conference to begin with. So it can be pretty overwhelming, honestly, because if you haven't been to one, or even if you have been to one, you probably know there's so much going on. There are so many workshops, there's so many people, there are activities everywhere. How do you choose? How do you know what to do, what to select, where to put your energy, and even where to hang out? Like, where are the people that you want to hang out with, and how do you meet them? How do you find them? And I used to wonder the exact same things, like, how do I network without it feeling awkward? Like, how do I walk up to somebody that I don't know and introduce myself? And then, of course, like, what sessions should I attend, and how do I make myself stand out among all the crowd of people that are there? And depending, of course, on the conference, there might be some small ones that are more intimate, and that's kind of nice because it's a lot easier to meet people. But then the big ones where there's just so many people that you don't know, what do you do? And this is why it's important to have a plan, because if you don't have a plan, then you are going to wander aimlessly and just kind of sit by yourself at a workshop and not talk to people. So let's talk about making this plan. How are we going to do this? All right, so what you want to do is, like everything in life, is have clear goals. What is it that you want to get? Like when you first looked and you said, this conference looks like fun. Why did you choose that conference? What did you think you can get from this conference? So we're going to think about goals. Right now, there's different places. Quite honestly, there was one in Hawaii once. I was like, I'm just want to go to Hawaii. And this is a cool conference. It's right on the beach. And there were some cool people that I wanted to meet that were there. There were some other things, but some conferences, you just want to go have fun, maybe meet some people. But there are other conferences where there are specific people maybe you want to meet. There are some agents that are going to be there that you'd like to connect with, or some editors, or some other authors. So you do want to have clear goals. You don't want to drift from one workshop to another, just kind of aimlessly going from one thing to the next. So we know that goals have to be specific and actionable, right? So for any goal that we're setting, we want to make sure that we know exactly why we are setting that goal, what we want to get out of it. So for conferences, usually the way that they are set up is they have workshops that are career type of workshops. So how to run your writer's life, right? How to run your writer's career and how to advance. So you'll see a bunch of workshops that are probably geared towards that. So depending on where you are as a writer, that might be something. You might want to know more about social, building your social media following. You might want to know more about how to handle your taxes if you're making money. So anything career oriented, you're going to have workshops that are just specifically for that. The other thing that these conferences will tend to have are your skills and your writing. So if you're trying to improve your dialogue writing, if you're trying to improve your characterization, whatever, right? Something related to writing and improving your skills. There will be other workshop, maybe not so much workshops, but events that are for networking. So there'll be the very opening where you just go and have a cup of coffee and some treats or a glass of wine, right? And you're just walking around meeting people. But there are also networking goals that you can make about meeting specific people. So you want to see, like, okay, there might be a publisher, a publishing house that's having a workshop on how to publish for them, and you want to go there because you want to get to know, like, who are the editors that work for this publishing house? What are their names? What do they specialize in? What do they want? And that helps. It's not exactly networking unless you go and talk to them, which you definitely can, but it helps you to connect, at least mentally, in your mind, with these people that work and who are buying the work that you want to write. And last is the industry insights, which would probably be more of what I'm talking about here, where you want to get to know more about the industry. So there'll be workshops on the industry itself. I remember a long, long, long time ago when Jeff Bezos came to a writers conference that I was attending. And what was he talking about? He was talking about this brand new thing called Amazon, and where he was going to sell digital books, right? Pretty wild when you think about it, that he actually was going to writers conferences trying to get writers to be interested in writing more books and publishing digitally, because that was the future. So you don't know who you're going to meet in these industry workshops, and it might be somebody who's going to be doing something different in the future, who's going to be talking about, today the big thing is AI, right? So there might be workshops on AI. So these industry specific workshops might be something else you're interested. So what you would want to do when you are planning is saying, okay, what is it that I'm interested in? Maybe I want to do a little of each. Or maybe I'm not really ready for the actual career type stuff. I'm not interested in that because I'm still developing myself as a writer. I want the skills. I want to maybe meet some publisher insiders. I want to do a little networking and make some writing friends. And so you'll plan accordingly to go to workshops that are specific for what your goals are. So goal number one then is to find these workshops that you want to attend, highlight them, figure out exactly where they are, get a map of the place where you're staying, where these workshops are taking place, and know exactly how you're going to get there. If you've got like one workshop on this side of a hotel and you've got to get all the way to the other side, do you have time to go to that one? So you want to be strategic. You want to know where you're going. You want to plan that all out. The next thing you want to do in your goal planning is leave time for these informal networking sessions. If your goal is to make some friends, then you want to go to some of these. So you don't want to structure your day where you're going from one workshop to the next, to the next, to the next. First of all, it's very overwhelming. It's a lot of information that you're going to be absorbing. So you do want to have some time in between where you're doing something else. So take a look. What else is going on? Do you want to, is there a group of people that maybe that will be going out to lunch? If you've gone to conferences before or you've met people online, you might want to, and they're going to the same conference, obviously, you might want to connect with them. So you might want ahead of time to say, hey, should we have lunch together on Wednesday? So that you're getting an opportunity to also relax a little bit and have some fun and meet people and talk to people and just enjoy and kind of discuss, well, what are you doing? What are you enjoying? What have you learned, right? So these are great times to do that. Something else to plan is questions that you might want to ask like panelists. Let's say you're going to a workshop with a panel of agents. Do you have specific questions that you'd like to know about how to submit your work? All of these things go under the goals setting. Another thing you might want to determine is like what kind of events are going to be there. So is there a very formal evening dinner? Do you want to make sure that you're packing something appropriate so that you have, maybe a business suit or pitching? I forgot about that. So you also during conferences can pitch. If you sign up for this, is pitch your story to an editor and an agent. So usually this is something separate that conferences have. And if they do have that and you're interested in a specific editor or agent, you can pitch your story to them. Then of course you want to prepare for that, right? You want to prepare what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, and plan to not be too stressed out. Plan, you don't want to go like to a workshop right before that and then rush to your pitching session. So leave time for that. If you are doing that, you want to dress appropriately, more business-like. So, a part of goal setting for me would be kind of, what am I taking? What am I packing? Do I have my business cards? Do I have bookmarks? Whatever it is that I'm taking to this conference. And this would really, I would say, maybe even not fall under goals, but under, the second thing to do for conferences is to prepare your material. So you're preparing your clothes, you're preparing the materials that you're taking, business cards, polish that pitch, polish any kind of elevator pitch, right, that you might have. If you just suddenly come across someone while you're sitting at the bar, or, you just happen to run into someone and you're like, oh, wow, well, really was excited to meet you. Right? And you want to know what to say. You want to have something practiced. So the second thing is really preparing yourself for the conference, knowing what to pack, taking everything that you need. The third thing is networking. So networking and spending time with others is part of the joy of going to a conference, because as authors, we do spend a lot of time sitting by ourselves, writing our stories, right? Or with other people that are not writers. So we're with our family members, with our friends that don't really understand what it is that we're doing. But when you go to a writer's conference, this is a unique place where everyone there is doing what you're doing. They may not be writing the exact same thing that you're writing. So somebody may be writing more of a romantic comedy, and somebody else may be writing a thriller, for example, unless it's a conference that's just one genre, right? So if everybody's writing romances, you still can have differences where somebody's writing a suspenseful romance and somebody else is writing a sweet romance, right? So you're gonna find other people that are doing different things, but they're all writers. They all understand what it's like to create characters, to create settings, to spend hours writing, to have to rewrite, to edit, right? Everybody that is there understands what you're doing. So this is a unique place. And so it's wonderful to be able to talk to other writers and spend time with other writers. So make time for that. And some of the really nice things in today's world that when I first started going to conferences didn't exist is the ability to meet people on social media. So if you have met people on social media and they're going to the conference, you get to meet them in person. Last year I met a writer that I really like. We both were selling our books at an event, and it's like, hey, I know you, right? We're Facebook friends. And it's like, oh yeah, cool, right? We got to meet each other in person, and that was great. There are some friends that I have made years and years ago that I know if they're going to a conference, and this is the only time I really get to see them and connect. So I want to spend some time. I want to make some time to be with them and see them, catch up on what they're doing in their life and what I'm doing in my life. So it's a really wonderful time just to be with other people that understand what we're doing. But if you don't know anybody, if you're going there for your first time and you don't know who's going to be there, be the first person to sit next to someone and say hello and start a conversation. There may be some shy people that don't really, that don't know what to do. So be the person that opens up the conversation. If you're sitting at a lunch table, right? They plan these lunches for some parts of the conference, and there's 8 to 10 people sitting at a round table. Start the conversation, introduce yourself, have your bookmarks available, have your business cards available, so that you can open up the conversation and find out a little bit about someone else and how they're enjoying the conference. It's also a wonderful time to network with editors and agents. However, you do have to be a little more careful with them. So although they welcome people saying hi, introducing themselves to you, you don't want to crowd an agent in a bar and then all of a sudden just pitch your story, unless there's some kind of opening, right? So a lot of times the agents and the editors will say, well, what is it that you're writing? This gives you that opportunity for that elevator pitch that you practiced. But you don't want to overwhelm editors and agents. You imagine, they're there to share what they know, They might be there to meet with the authors that they're representing. So you don't want to, for example, if there's an editor and agent having a drink together, just to all of a sudden pull up a chair and sit next to them unless you're invited to do so. Now, if there's a group and people are standing together and you're there and somebody smiles at you, whatever, they kind of welcome you in, you can. So, you just have to be a little more careful with editors and agents, because if everybody at the conference was just say, hey, wow, here, agent, here's my story, it's a little bit off-putting for them. But don't be shy about saying hello and introducing yourself, because that's why they're there and that's why you're there. Hopefully what you are getting from what I'm saying is that conferences are not just a place to go learn. It's not a school. You're not just there to go to workshops and to learn, although that is a big part of it. And it's a great part because you get to learn from other people, but it's not the only thing. So make sure that you are being kind of well-rounded, right? That you're doing some learning, but you're also doing some networking and connecting with other people, that you're pitching your stories to editors and agents if you have something ready, that you are going to events, because there are fun events sometimes, there's dances, there are all kinds of things that happen. But conferences are about making maybe a lasting impression on someone, of making a lasting friendship, a connection with another writer. And it's an opportunity to build these friendships. If you've met them somewhere else, then you get to see them again. It's really fun sometimes for me if I go to a conference and then I go to another one, and somebody that I met in the first conference, or that I met a year ago at a conference, and then I go back to the conference and they're there again, to expand that relationship and that friendship. So think of conferences not just as learning places, but as launch pads for your career. You're going to meet some great people that you're going to like, that you're going to have fun with, that you're going to connect with, and that's part of building your career as a writer. We do spend a lot of time alone, so it's really nice to have some other writing friends that we can share things with. So think of writers' conferences, again, first as having clear goals to know what you're going to do when you're there. Next, making sure that you're prepared, that you have everything that you need for that conference. And then third is making sure that you make time to enjoy the conference, have some fun, have some relaxing time, make some friends, and meet some people in the industry that can help you build your career. And if you'd like a printable checklist that you can mark off your goals on, I'm going to put a link below where you can get it on my website. All right, I hope that this has helped. I hope that it has interested you in going to a conference. I definitely recommend it. If you've liked this video, if it's been helpful, like always, please like it. Please subscribe to my channel and come back next week. Of course, share it with friends and come back next week for my next tip. I'll see you then.